Good morning, everyone. It's Eric with His&Hers HHQ. This is the reveal for the SDW Heroes Sergeant Verde Buster Gundam DX. This was a really quick build. Oddly enough, I could have had it done in probably 5 hours if it wasn't for the stickers. Getting those stickers on was a little bit of a bear. I actually tore a couple of them, but I did get them in place, and I used some of the tears as reference points for my pre-damage, I guess you could say. I have to say, I enthusiastically recommend a Gundam, especially one of these, as a first model kit. It's just that easy. I mean, you can use glue, you don't have to. It's just one of those, pardon me, it's just one of those things. It goes together really, really well. So, again, this is the SDW Heroes Sergeant Verde Buster Gundam DX. And here we go. I know, it doesn't really... Let's zoom in just a little bit here. Doesn't look like a whole lot, but I mean, considering, it is not bad actually. I'm totally digging how this thing turned out and how it looks. As you can see, there's a bit of pre-damage there, pre-weathering. All that is, especially here on the stickers, is rubbing it out with, rubbing it off with, what is it? I think this is 1600 grit sandpaper, I think. The tougher stuff on the actual bare plastic is a 600 grit, I want to say. Anyway, so yeah, I got a lot of this stuff pre-done here. Stuff like that I did by drilling an initial pinpoint and then just using my hands and using that to kind of finish it out, round it out some, and then I went back over it with a X-Acto blade and kind of roughed it up just a little extra. And I mean, it's really simple. Again, for those of you out there that stick to a specific genre, like cars or armor or aircraft or something like that, when it's time to hit reset and you're like just absolutely, you've hit that block where you're just not feeling it, pick up a Gundam set, and it's fun. I mean, this thing articulates, and it's just one of those really cool things to just kind of really throw it out there, to really change things up, change the pace. Again, as I said, you can use the glue to get parts to stick together better, but you don't necessarily have to. A few tips real quick. If you are any other genre builder and do pick up a Gundam, your first Gundam, this plastic, it's still a styrene plastic, but it be careful when you're sanding or scraping the little sprue points where you've clipped it off, because this plastic seems to be softer. It's a it's an exercise in patience, I have to say that. But otherwise, another thing, I understand now how a lot of these Gundam builders, because I didn't actually see anything video-wise, but if you really want to paint the whole thing, you prime and paint it. They actually have, there's several companies that have Gundam specific paints. And like when it comes to all the bright shiny stuff here, like the blue, the various golds, the red, the white there, when it comes to all of those, you can use, if your Gundam comes with stickers, you can use the sticker placement guide as a guide where to paint those particular colors. The worst sticker I had was on this side, but I didn't understand. I looked at the directions wrong, so I mean, it's my bad. So I had to tape off the whole thing and just give it a this rail here and this rail here. Shot a gold paint, which you can see are two totally different golds. This here's more of a yellow gold, and that's more of a gold, I guess. Anyway, so this is it. This is the reveal. I've got these things done. You can remove this gun and the shield arm and put those in place. It makes it a flying Gundam. Well, by the blue and red, you can pretty well tell this is kind of a law enforcement Gundam. I have set all of, like this here, this is an extra set of feet here for a, like more like your, well, those are jets, I guess. So it kind of helps propel it. It's for the flying aspect. I'm going to save those and use those as greeblies for something, I'm sure. And as I said, I will be giving this to my youngest, because he's the one that really likes to collect and build the Gundams. But what we're going to do now is reset. I'm going to take him apart, and when we come back, we'll get into the weathering, just so I can show you or give you an idea of what I like to do to achieve the looks that I get, like on the service truck or the flatbed that I call Grandpa's Sleeper. So let me reset and we'll get started. And we're back. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is add that little bit of texture. Now, thinking about this as a Gundam, he's tromping through the cities or the forest or whatever. The bulk of the texturing, where there's superficial damage and whatnot, is going to be on the feet. So what we're going to do is create that texture by using a little bit of Tamiya putty here and the Tamiya lacquer thinner. And you don't need a whole lot, just a few drops really. And understand, at this size, this scale, if I did the texture too big, it would be out of scale. So what we're going to do here, mix this up with the thinner and get this just as thin as I can. And we want to get this just a little bit, just enough on the brush to come back. And like here, as you can see here, I did some pre-damage. And what we're going to do then is add a little bit of extra texture by stippling, I can't speak this morning, within this damage spot. Now as it dries, especially on the piece here, we can add that texture or that added texture by going over it much like this. Basically what we're doing is adding that little bit extra oomph, I guess you could say. Now we're not going to like give it a super rusty look, but this is going to be where the start of our rust would be. So that actually looks pretty good right there. And we'll give it a little bit of extra texture, bits of texture here and there. And scrape that on there. And when it's actually dry, you can go back over it with some of your finer grit sandpapers and smooth it out just a hair bit. And we will be adding color as we go, you know, once it's dry, and I'm happy with the texture. Don't forget both sides here. And as I said, the bulk of this is going to be the feet or the lower portions of the feet because, you know, as it's trompsing through a city or town or village, something like that, it's kicking cars or crumpled buildings, brickwork, masonry, stuff like that. So the feet are going to take the most superficial damage outside of combat, and that's simply because of where they have to go. Okay, that's one. And we will do the other one here off camera. So give me a moment. Okay, both feet have that on there. I'm going to add just a little bit here where my blaster damage is. And then we'll move on to the next step. All right, I think we're pretty well done requiring the texture. We're going to move on to the other work and we'll go from there. Okay, the next step in this process is we're going to give it some chipping, as it were. We are going to use, just because we have it, the chrome silver, and we're going to give or show you how I do a little bit of the loose the fresh scrape marks, I guess you could say. And for that, we are going to use my really fine brush. This is one of those, what is it? Tamiya brush, item 87048. It's got this light little blue dot on it. We're going to use that. And I'm going to give you just like, you know, a quick example of what I'm doing or what I do. And I'll of course go back over the Gundam and off camera and give it those little bits of extra here and there. But as a matter of fact, we'll start with the mask. This here's a mask piece, and as you can see, I gave it some pretty good battle damage in just this spot here, kind of like a scar. So what we're going to do is very gently, very lightly, go over little areas here and there, kind of give it that fresh, worn or exposed metal look. Not over everything, mind you, but we're going to give it. And the reason why we do this next, after the texture, whether you're doing texture or not, you want to get your chipping done first, because when it comes down to it, any of the rust or anything you do over it, the washes, will actually just make this blend or pop, I guess, a little bit better on its own. We're not doing anything major, just enough to kind of give it that chipped look. exposed metal. It's not quite rusty, but it's also giving us a better reference point, I guess you could say, because we want this to really stand out while being subtle. It's, I guess, I have to say, I'm pretty confident the bulk of you know precisely what I'm talking about, but this is just one of those things that I go over and do occasionally. See, the stickers are kind of like bare metal foil over a sticky sticky back that sticks it to the thing, in this case to the Gundam. And using my light grit sandpaper, I was able to give it that, well, the worn metal look, which I am now trying to recreate along these points here. Of course, we'll go in and give it a little grimy slash rusty tone on the outer edges of that, but I think this here is turning out pretty cool. And again, I'll go over the rest of the Gundam like that, but you see where this is at, where we're going. That gives it that just absolutely vicious look. Oops, pardon me. And I'm going to go over a lot of the other parts here with that as we go. Now, I did the reveal, and now I'm doing this, and the point is I'm showing you what I will be accomplishing. It's not necessarily going to do it all on camera or all for everybody's viewing pleasure, but we're having a little bit of fun here and there so I can show you what I do and you get the idea of what the finished look is going to be. So I've already done the final reveal. This is just adding my personal touch to it. I'm sure a lot of us out there do that. You'll do a final reveal and then add things here and there when you're done. Well, this is basically just showing you what I do or will be doing and going on from there. So, on to the sponging. Okay, so sponging. As you can see, this here is the shoulder pads or railgun support for the shoulders, and I've got a little bit of roughness going on there. Well, what I'm going to start with is this here is that cheap Walmart apple barrel English ivy green, because we don't want to match this green exactly, so we're going to go a little bit lighter. And what we're going to do, I ripped off a little piece of sponge here. This is easier if you have those reversible tweezers that just absolutely hold everything and you don't have to squeeze. But I'm going to do this way. Load our sponge. Pick up our paper towel. readjust our grip, but get it where we have very little coming off the sponge. And let's try to zoom in just a tad. All right, and then give this, we're not going to go too crazy with this because we're creating, sorry, I had to readjust there. What we're looking to do is create just a certain look go. And sometimes it takes, well, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes it takes me a few tries, readjusting grip. Okay, this piece is actually driving me nuts. Let's try to readjust here. There we go. That should be better. There we go. Now you can do this, like cover all the edges. If you want, get all your edges or edging corners, get this like this. Anyway, and it's a pretty easy cleanup actually too. If you accidentally get too much going in one spot and not enough in another spot, it's actually usually a pretty good or a pretty easy cleanup. But actually I'm kind of liking the way that goes, the way that's looking. Let me wet my little brush here and try to get that little spot there. There we go. That looks a little better. Okay, now see, and this stuff is drying pretty quick because I don't have a wet palette going. So what we're going to do, and you're going to see this real time, using my same little palette, I guess you could say, I'm going to grab, instead of my burnt umber, I'm going to grab some brown oxide. Place just a little bit in there. Again, we have our fine brush. We're going to pick this up. Load our brush a little bit and zoom in on this so we can all see this. Get in here just a little bit, especially along the edges inside of that lighter green. I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm actually got my tongue sticking out the side. I'm trying to kind of concentrate. I don't know how many of y'all do that, how many of y'all guys and gals do that, but it's a habit I've been doing since I was a kid. Now, when all of that's dry, or thoroughly dry, and or I'm confident it's dry, well, as a matter of fact, I'll break out the burnt umber now. Give us just a touch of burnt umber. And put just a little bit on the tip of our brush and get in there the finer detail along the inner edge, the very inside of where we've already worked. Because we're creating now a contrast between the various stages of rust. And again, this can easily be applied to your automotive. Now, I like, this is just a personal thing, I enjoy doing this with the brush, and I mean, it's just kind of relaxing. It, you know, it's kind of like one of those cases of less is more kind of thing, but you can still have a lot of fun doing this with the brush. I mean, as you can see, there's already a pretty good contrast there in what we're looking for. Again, I've got a lot of the metal chipping I'll do with that chrome silver, some of the newer stuff. Once I'm sure everything here is dry, everything that I've done is dry, what I will then do is give it a grimy wash. And that's basically just going to be a loose mix between something like the English ivory or ivy green and timeless gray. We just want an ugly wash. And we'll wait, we will wet everything down and then apply a very thin coat of that wash and wick it away, clean up where, you know, we can. It'll get into the nooks and crannies. Well, I mean, the bulk of you know precisely how a wash works. So yeah, you know, just a little bit of fun. And again, these are techniques that when applied to your automotive, really, you know, just absolutely ups the game. It's, in my opinion, it's my personal opinion. It's just one of those things that, you know, is, I like to see what I can create doing this. And if I can take something from the armor and or Gundams and aircraft and apply it to the automotive and share it with you guys in the hopes that, I mean, you understand where this is going, of course. But it's just one of those things that, for me, it's a worthwhile thing. As you can see there, we've applied a little bit of color. Let's see. We've applied a little bit of color to that texture, and it just really gives it that little bit of extra look to it. When all of this mess is dry, I will add the other colors, the other rust, and we're just gonna, you know, I'm gonna have fun with it. So you all know what it looks like when assembled. You all can see where I'm taking this. And I mean, I hope you've learned something from me, or I've taught something. But you know, this has been a lesson to me, and I'm passing it on to you. So again, thank you all for the views. Thank you for the subscribers. This video is going to be a little longer than I actually anticipated, but it's one of those things that couldn't be helped. But again, I appreciate everybody's thanks. You know, it's just, I can't thank you all enough. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everyone. So, yeah, I'm Eric with His&Hers HHQ. If you haven't yet, head on over to Facebook and follow us at His&Hers Hobby Headquarters. And as always, take a moment, like, subscribe, share the content, and keep spreading the word of scale model building. You know, keep trying to grow the hobby. That's one of those things that I was hoping to do. And, you know, again, thank you all. And as always, comment below. I do try to be interactive. It may be 5 minutes, it may be 5 days, but I will reply or try to reply. But otherwise, again, we have a TikTok, we have the Facebook, and we will be having merch at some point coming up in the next few weeks. So look out for that. I'm Eric. Have a good day.